Stitch happens, Malta's here for me and you. So grab your hoop and let the passion start. We're stitching stories straight from the heart. Stitch happens, Malta!
Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Stitch Happens Malta and I'm Bernadette. And today we're gonna continue on this Stitch With Me, the cute butt. This is from Painting Fairy Cross Stitch and it's the 16 count one. So this is where I'm at. Let me, hope you can see. There it is. So we've got some work done here and some work done here. Part of this ear. And today we're going to work in this area. Okay, so let's zoom in. This is the area we're gonna work on. It looks like a hashtag. The symbol is like a hashtag, which refers to, let's see, which refers to DMC number 7. Okay. Let's find that. So, how's everyone? It's... oh, I have a short piece here. Okay, I'll put that aside. I'll use it later. So it's been, this week has been very warm here. We're at the end, literally at the very end of June, and we're expecting a heat wave. We're expecting a heat wave throughout this whole week, which I am not fond of at all. I don't mind the heat. Actually, I'm one of those people that enjoy summer very much, but when it's a heat wave, it just leaves you without energy and literally feeling like doing nothing at all other than stitching. It's always a good time to stitch. It doesn't stop me from stitching, but when it goes over 35 degrees Celsius, which is what we are expecting, that is not very good. That is not very good, but it is what it is. So I've had a pretty busy week, and am I in focus? Oh yes, I am. Okay, I thought I wasn't. I had a very busy week, and at the beginning of this week I had a little bit of an accident, if you can call it an accident. I go to the beach very often, and I had a dive. I just went a little bit too far down, I think. And as I was coming up, I felt something in my ear, and well, basically it's been nearly a week, and my ear feels like it needs to pop. You know, when you're on a flight, that sort of feeling. And it's very, very annoying because I feel myself when I talk. It's like an echo. Extremely annoying, but hopefully it will resolve. And hopefully it will not stay like this too long. What was scary was that when I surfaced on the water, I got extremely dizzy. Like, thank God my husband was next to me and he held me, because it was very frightening. I don't think I would have drowned or anything, but it was very frightening. But that's that. And the pain I had when I surfaced was, I cannot describe it. It lasted about 10 minutes. It was like severe pain, like my ears are about to explode. And I really thought I damaged my ears. But my hearing is fine. There's no pain at all now. It's just this annoying feeling like my ear needs to pop. I haven't been to the doctor because I'm not a strong believer of doctors, sorry. Sorry for any of you that are doctors. I just go when it's really impossible for me to deal with something. That's my take. Sorry. So I was very, very excited last week because I watched, I mention her a lot in my channel, Natalie of Crafting by the Falls, and she did a live test, and it was so nice to see her. Obviously, I wasn't live. I watched the recorded one that was recorded after it went live, because I wasn't at home when she did it. I think it was around 6 o'clock, or it's either 6 o'clock, because I think she said it's 5 o'clock UK. So that means it was 6 o'clock here in Malta. So it was a good time. It's just I wasn't home. And she's going to do the Halloween in July stitch with me, sort of, on the 1st of July. I have mine prepared to go. It's the it's something cabinet, Halloween cabinet, something like that. It's from Painting Fairy cross stitch as well. And I've got it all ready to start stitching it in July. It's fun because I love Halloween, and any excuse is a good excuse to stitch for Halloween. So thank you, Natalie. And yes, it was so lovely to see her, because I never saw her before. You just hear her voice, and that's that. And when you put a face to a voice, it's amazing. It really is. Yeah, so looking forward to that. My European town is progressing very well, I would say. And I'm looking forward to continue that. I've had some new starts as well. I bought, there's this company, it ships from the UK, but I don't know whether, I doubt the kits really come from UK. I don't know. It's the Stamped Stitch Club, and they have some really nice pieces too. And I bought myself in fact, I'll attach the video if I've posted it. I'm not sure I've posted it to this one, because I reviewed the first kit I got from them. So they're not, I didn't choose big kits because I have way too many big kits, and at this rate I'm not gonna finish any of them. And I've reviewed the company basically, and I like the kit I got, the kits, because now I've received the second one. So basically it's they're circular kits, stamped stitch, stamped cross stitch, and I got a chameleon, and I've got a koala bear, and it's so cute. And there, if I remember correctly, there were 150 by 150 stitches, so not too big, not tiny, but doable. Not like European town or something. So that makes a difference. It gives me a little bit of a break from the very large, the very large designs. So that's good. So when I do these videos, I usually do them very, very early in the morning when everyone is still asleep. And I do it before I start work, because there's a day in the week where I work from home, so before my hours start, I do some stitching. Because as we say, there's always a good time to stitch, isn't there? So I have a couple of trips coming up, and I've already packed the kit that I will be taking with me. So you know you're an obsessed cross stitcher when the first thing you pack is the kit. Can you believe that? Well, that's what I did. And it's gonna be the same for all trips I have coming up. I'll be stitching the same piece, so I'll get some development going on that piece, which is the chameleon from the Stamped Stitch Club. And I'm doing something exciting for this World Cup as well. I think I mentioned it last time, and it's going on well, although I am a little bit behind on one of the stitches. So basically I'm working 100, I have to work 100 stitches on a chosen project for every score that the chosen team scores during World Cup. So my husband is supporting Spain, and he chose the temperature chart, and I am supporting England, and I'm stitching my patchwork cuddle bear from my Etsy shop. I love that pattern so much, and like this, it gets me working on them, because to tell you the truth, since I've discovered Painting Fairy and all the other brands that stitch, that produce stamped pieces like this, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? It makes life so much easier and so much more pleasurable, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy seeing a picture coming to life when you've got nothing there on a blank canvas. There's something beautiful about that. But it saves you all the trouble of counting, and when you're on the move, like when you're going abroad or even watching TV and you want to follow a particular program, it's very, very easy to make a mistake. You make a mistake when you're fully concentrated, let alone if you're watching something or on the move, you know? And even when I have my clubs, which I have every last Wednesday of the month, I usually take a printed kit, a stamped cross stitch, because I can catch up with my stitchy friends and not get, not make mistakes because I'm yapping, you know how it is. Although, as I said, I don't yap a lot. I'm not a talker at all. My husband loves to talk, so he's the talker between the two of us. And he says he wants me to talk more. He wished I talked more, because he says my voice calms him down. Isn't that cute? Well, I don't know why, but that's what he says. I've been actually pushing him to try and cross stitch, but it's just not for him. He did 2 stitches. I had an 11 count piece, and I told him, if you have to try this, because it's, it's a bigger count, it's less difficult. But he did 2 stitches, and he told me, no, this is not for me. It would be so much nicer if we could stitch, because then, we could stitch together, and that's how we'll spend our days. But anyway. Let me know if you have your better halves that stitch as well. Isn't that fantastic? I think that's really nice, do you stitch like me? Because as you can see, I literally do the first leg, like all of here, and then I go back and do the full cross. I don't know why I do that, but I've always stitched like that. Even on a blank canvas, that's what I do. I wish I could find more cross stitchers that stitch in hand, because there are not a lot out there. Most people I follow use hoops or scroll frames, and I don't. Not even for the very, very big, like the European town, I stitch it in hand. I stitch everything in hand. And sometimes it does get awkward. And I try to use hoops, but as soon as I put the project in the hoop, I do a couple of stitches and I remove the hoop because it just bothers me. I don't know what it is, but I just feel I can't stitch properly. And also because I use the sewing method most of the time, not always, but many times I use the sewing method. And because of that, when you have a scroll frame or a hoop, you can't do the sewing method, obviously, because the canvas is stretched, so you cannot do 2 moves with the needle at one go. It's impossible. So let me know what you think. If you're a stitch in hand, tell me about your journey. I'm interested. I remember I did start cross stitch with a hoop, but I naturally, without nobody telling me, I removed the hoop and started stitching it in hand. So it's not because I saw someone do it or anything of the sort. It just came naturally to me. And I am self-taught, so no one taught me how to cross stitch. And what's interesting is that the majority of my students, obviously because I'm the teacher, I do tell them about the hoop and I tell them about the benefits of having your canvas stretched and you working on a piece on a hoop or a scroll frame. But I guess the example simply, they see me stitch like this, and most of my students stitch on a hoop on their hand rather than the hoop. So that's interesting. So when I have the material in a hoop, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now, which is, see, that would be impossible. And I find that very, very pleasurable, that sewing method. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. It's very early in the morning and I'm already feeling the heat coming. It seems like it's going to be a hot day again today. When we go to the beach, we literally go either early morning or late afternoon, like 4 o'clock, and it still feels incredibly hot. Like you cannot stand a lot in that heat. It's definitely changed. When I was younger, I remember we used to spend days by the beach. Literally, we go early morning and we leave after sunset. Doesn't mean that I didn't get burnt, but I've got a single stitch up here, I have to do it. But nothing compared to today, for sure. The sun is definitely more damaging than it used to be back in the days, for sure. That is one thing that surprised me when I was in Australia last year. So you literally, now I'm talking about spring, so it was around 19-20 degrees Celsius, so not hot, just pleasant. And we went by the seaside and you couldn't stay more than 20 minutes, half an hour, because you feel your skin burning. And that happens here in full sun after an hour. And you still probably won't be burnt. But in Australia, it's a whole different situation. I was in Gippsland. I don't know if that makes any difference, but it's not one of the hot states. In fact, it's known to have 4 seasons in a day, sort of like England, sort of. That sort of weather. And it was surprising how the sun rays were so damaging so quickly. And we did get a little bit burnt, I remember, after 20 minutes in a 20-degree temperature, which wouldn't happen in Malta. And it's because they're closer to the equator, something like that. I don't really understand these things, but that's the reason. And their the ozone layer is apparently where there's a big hole, apparently. Well, whatever it is, you feel it. It's there. You can't miss it. You feel it. such a big country, a very beautiful country, but so far away from everyone and everything. I was born there, for those that don't know. But I was very young, so I don't recall any of it. Because my parents came back to Malta, because they're both Maltese, when I was 3. And my first memory is in my Nana's yard, which is in Malta. That's my first memory. I don't remember any of the plane or nothing at all. Some people have memories earlier, like when they're 2. I don't. I wish I did. Would have remembered something. But I don't. It's a pity. But it is what it is. I guess I don't have a very good memory. I still don't. Which reminds me of something that's not very nice. Because on my father's side, all my aunties and uncles have dementia. So that's a very strong predisposition for the disease, isn't it? And that does scare me, you know? It scares me a lot. And you know how it's normal that you forget things, especially when you're busy? And I do ask myself during those moments, I think, is this the start? It is scary. I do try to keep my mind active, but I don't think, I honestly don't think it matters. Because I know people who have dementia that were well-read, very educated, kept up with current affairs, and still got the bloody disease. So I don't believe in all that. I think you're predisposed to it, and there's nothing really you can do about it. Well, enough negativity, shall we? Shall we talk a little bit about positive things? There's enough negativity in the world, isn't there? There's a couple of these stitches all the way up here. I need a cut off then. I have to. Okay, let me finish these here. I don't have much time left, because very soon I need to log on to work. But this has been some nice stitching time. I always enjoy it. And I'm enjoying the chatting with you. Even though I'm not a chatty person, but I guess I'm getting the hang of it. So it's all right. I actually don't mind it anymore. Because the first video, I put music over my stitching. And then someone commented that they would prefer if they could hear me yap. And so I tried it, and I have been yapping since. But anyway, yeah. But I do find myself lost for words, to be honest. So quiet right now. So nice. like the world is still mostly asleep, even though it's a work day, but it's early, as I said. And it's nice to enjoy quiet mornings. Very nice. So I do hope some of you have managed to get their hands on this pattern, because he is cute. I mean, how can you not like a bunny butt, right? And I like rabbits. I think they're so freaking cute. And this has been an easy stitch, even though it's on 16 count. There are companies out there which I've been looking into, similar to Painting Fairy, but not exactly. And they have counts up to 20 count on stamped stitch. Can you imagine that? It can't be easy to stamp on canvas that's that, you know, fine, because 20 count is... I've never stitched on 20 count, not even on a blank canvas. I've done 18, not 20 though. And I'm really tempted to try one, but so far I've come across only large designs, and as I said, I have enough big designs. I don't want to do any more that are big, because frankly I don't have the time. It's as it is, I'm never gonna finish what I've got. So I made a promise to myself, no more huge designs, at least until I do the European town. Then maybe I'll consider others. But until then, that's enough. And I have other big ones, which one of them I have started, and I have another 2 that are packed and I won't open for the time being, for sure. Okay, so as soon as I finish this piece of thread that's in my hand, I'm going to call it a day. But that's a good run of stitches there. Not bad, I think. Sorry, I think I was out of camera. And I seem to be moving a lot today as well, which is not good for you that you are watching. Okay. So a couple of more stitches, and we'll start the day. I hope you've enjoyed this stitch with me, whatever you're doing. Maybe you're doing the cute butt or something else, doesn't matter. It's just some time spent together. And that's taken up to over 40 minutes, which is good timing. A good timing for stitching, I guess, in my opinion. Okay, we'll close it off. There. And the needle goes there. Snip off, and there it is. So we've nearly done this little piece. Let me zoom out. There it is. Not bad at all. I need to do the top stitch, obviously, but not bad at all. I hope you enjoyed this stitch with me, and until the next one, thank you for watching, and happy stitching as usual. Bye bye.